Hello friends, today I take up a new topic and which is a part of the current affairs. The name of the topic is Indo-Russian relation, a testing time for mutual friendship. In the wake of the Russian-Ukraine war that is going for the last 1 month, the friendship between India and Russia is on the test. So my lesson plan includes why is it in the news, historical background of Indo-Soviet Soviet Union relations, important component of Indo-Russian relationship, military relationship, economic relations, energy sector, space cooperation, Indian policy in the wake of Russian-Ukrainian war, and finally conclusion. So friends, I will cover under these points the topic Indo-Russian relation, a testing time for mutual friendship. I hope that you will enjoy my lecture today. Please share and subscribe my free channel AJIS Academy on YouTube and get benefit out of numerous uploaded videos. So friends, now let us start the proceedings. Why is it in the news? Now you might have read a newspaper where you might have seen the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov paid a 2-day visit to New Delhi. On Thursday, Russia is trying to sell its oil to India on concessional rates to offset the sanctions imposed by the Western powers, including the USA, in the wake of Russian-Ukrainian war. So, the diplomats of the US, Britain, China, Germany, Australia, Greece paid a visit to New Delhi to bring India to their side in the wake of the ongoing war. And so, India made its stand clear that it would observe the policy of non-alignment, meaning thereby that it would not sacrifice its national interest. Whichever step would be better for the national interest of India, India would adopt that policy in spite of the pressure mounted upon by Western powers. So, India wants immediate ceasefire of Russia-Ukraine war, a stoppage of cyber attack, information war, respect for international law, respect for UN Charter, and union in territorial integrity and sovereignty, protection of human rights, and economic interest of every country. This is the stand of India since the outbreak of Russian-Ukrainian war. Indian Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar defended India's decision to look for good deals for its energy requirement and amid volatility in the market. And as you know that because of this war, the oil prices shot up to the detriment of the Indian economy, because we know that more than 80% of the requirement of petroleum products are being imported by India. So it highly taxes the Indian economy whenever there is a shooting up of the prices of petroleum products. Now, Russia offered to give India oil or petroleum products at concessional rates, and so the Western powers, including the USA, are mounting pressure upon India that India should not purchase oil at concessional rate because it would impact upon the sanctions imposed upon Russia by the Western powers. Now, historical background of Indo-Soviet Union relations. Friends, as you know that in 1917, Communists took over the reign of the government in Soviet Union under the leadership of Lenin and started the process of economic planning. In 1927, the then Jawaharlal Nehru, who later became the Prime Minister of India, who was the sole spokesperson for the Congress party in the matter relating to international affairs, he paid visit to the Soviet Union in 1927 and was very much impressed by the work of the communists who undertook poverty alleviation program on mass scale. Now, India's relation with Soviet Union started off on a cool note. Why? When India became independent in 1947, the head of the Communist Party was Stalin. And when India kept its membership of the Commonwealth of Nations under the leadership of Great Britain, and everybody knows that the head of the Commonwealth is the Queen or King of Great Britain. So there was suspicion in the mind of Stalin, and who thought that India is still the stooge of British imperialism. And that's why the relation between India and the Soviet Union did not begin but it was very much a lukewarm response from the communist regime as long as Stalin was at the helm of affairs in Soviet Union. But after the death of Stalin in 1953, the communist leadership changed their stance. Now, an important factor in their foreign policy was peaceful coexistence. It means that countries having different social and economic system can be made friendship with them, and Soviet Union will have no hesitation in addition to the communist government in Eastern Europe. So those countries which have different economic or social condition or the policy, they should also be brought under the ambit of Soviet Union. And because of this policy, Soviet Union expanded its relationship with India. Now the then Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, sent Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, who later became the Vice President of India, to Soviet Union for the normalization of relation between India and Soviet Union. And by 1955, the relation between India and Soviet Union became normalized. Jawaharlal Nehru paid visit to Soviet Union in 1955, and that was reciprocated by the then head of the Communist Party or the government, Khrushchev. So in 1956, Soviet Union adopted the policy of peaceful coexistence, and from 1955 onward, the Soviet Union gave full support to the Indian position in Kashmir problem or Kashmir tangle, and used veto in the Security Council several times in favor of India. Now, as you know that after independence, Pakistan as usual went to the camp of Western power headed by the US. It made treaty or military treaty with the US. It became the member of SEATO, CENTO and Baghdad Pact. It got ample military equipments from the US, but India adopted the policy of non-alignment. It cleared its position that India will judge every issue or international issue on its merit and will take the position accordingly to safeguard its national interest. So now, Soviet Union supported India on the integration of Goa in opposition to the US, and as you know that in 1961, Goa was annexed by India by the use of the force, because Goa was made a province of Portugal, and since it was the member of Portugal was the member of NATO, so what you see that any use of force against Goa would have brought the US before the door of, in front of the door of India. And that's why India hesitated for the last 14 years and adopted the policy of wait and watch, but Portugal did not accepted the liberation of Goa, and ultimately the Indian government had to use the force to liberate Goa from Portugal in 1961. The Soviet Union came forward to build the Bhilai steel plant, Bokaro steel plant. Friends, as you know that in 1956, Government of India initiated the policy of industrialization to focus upon heavy industries in order to make India self-sufficient in matters relating to industrialization of our country. There was need to establish steel plants on different locations, and so Soviet Union helped India to establish a steel plant at Bhilai in 1956 and thereafter at Bokaro. Friends, as you know that steel is the main component of the basic industry. So if a country wants to get industrialized, it will have to focus upon basic industries. Pakistan did not do that, and that's why it is still dependent upon the Western power. Now India is self-sufficient as far as the basic industries like steel, fertilizers, pesticides are concerned, or cements are concerned. So by 73-74, what you see that the Soviet Union invested a lot in Indian economy, and what you see that 30% of India's steel, 35% of petroleum products, 20% of our electrical power, 65% of heavy electrical equipment, 85% of heavy machine making industries were produced in projects set up by the Soviet Union. So Soviet Union very much helped in industrializing India, in making India self-sufficient as far as basic industries are concerned. During the 1962 Chinese-India war, Soviet Union remained neutral, and later on it called China as an aggression or responsible for the war. So you see that how Soviet Union tilted towards India within a span of 20 years. It was all the more important because the Western power headed by the US bore grudge against India's policy of non-alignment. They called it immoral. They did not want to help India in its journey of industrialization. And so, in that grim situation where India was alone in the international arena, it was the Soviet Union which helped India through thick and thin. Now, India and Soviet Union signed the first agreement for military supply in 1960. More agreements were effected for sale of arms, interceptors, helicopters, tanks, mobile, radar, sets, surface-to-air missiles, submarines, missile boats, patrol ships, manufacturing of MiG aeroplanes, building of naval dockyard. India made a treaty of friendship and cooperation with the Soviet Union in 1971 in the wake of the Indo-Pakistan War. And so, friends, you see that because of this treaty, India ensured to preempt the intrusion of China and the US in case of the outbreak of war between India and Pakistan. And everybody knows that in 1971, because of the faulty policy of Pakistan in eastern Bengal and atrocities committed by the Pakistani army, and thereafter exodus of people of eastern Bengal to Indian territory, thereby causing economic stress upon India. All these factors led to the outbreak of war between India and Pakistan. This resulted into the decisive defeat of Pakistan, whereby 90,000 Pakistani army personnel had to surrender before Indian army headed by J.S. Arora, and a new country was born, that is called Bangladesh. Now, important component of Indo-Russian relation. What are the important components? There are 6 components of Indo-Russian relationship, and these are: number 1, politics, defense, nuclear energy, anti-terrorism cooperation, space, and growing commercial ties. These are the 6 important components of Indo-Russian relation for the last 75 years. Now, both countries have set the target of reaching $30 billion American by 2025 from the meager 9.4 billion trade in 2017. So you see that there is ample scope to enhance the bilateral trade between Russia and India. Now, India-Russia Intergovernmental Commission is the main body that conducts affairs and the government level between both countries. Friends, you know that after the breakup of Soviet Union in 1991, the economic power of Russia became weak. More than 15 states became independent, and so India had to switch over to other economic power as far as the bilateral commercial relations are concerned. Now you see that the bilateral trade relation between India and China is growing by leaps and bounds, and it has touched more than 100 billion American dollar. Similarly, the largest partner of India at present is the US in terms of value, and then United Arab Emirates. So you see that in spite of having close knit relationship between India and Russia, no worthwhile development in matters relating to bilateral trade has been visible for the last 20 years, or its pace of progress is very slow. So in India, Russia Intergovernment Commission is the main body, and that conducts affairs and the government level between both countries. Again, both countries are members of international bodies like the UN, BRICS. BRICS means Brazil. ब्राज़ील, बी मतलब ब्राज़ील, आर मतलब रसा, आई मतलब इंडिया, सी मीन्स चाइना, एंड एस मीन्स साउथ अफ्रीका. So these countries are the part of an important organization that is called BRICS, G20 Group 20, in which India and Russia among the US are members, and SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So Russia supports India to have a permanent seat in the Security Council. It has always helped whenever India was in trouble. In the UN, India is the second largest market for the Russian defense industry. In 2017, 68% of Indian military hardware import were from Russia. Although Indian government is trying to diversify its military equipment import so that it should not be completely dependent upon Russia, but as of now, the situation is that more than 50% of our military hardware import are from Russia. Then India and Russia signed a strategic partnership in 2000. Again, Russia vocally backed India joining NSG, Nuclear Supplier Group, and Pacific Economic Cooperation. Now, I switch over to military relationship. I have already discussed in detail. Now, military equipment supply, India is very much dependent upon Russia. Now, agreement for naval frigates, twin engine utility helicopter BrahMos cruise missile, and now you see that BrahMos missile has been very much developed by India and now is being sold even to foreign country like Philippines. So joint naval exercises in 2012, both signed a defense deal worth 2.9 billion American dollar for 42 new Sukhoi aircrafts. In 2018, India inked an agreement worth 5.3 billion American dollar with Russia to procure 5 S-400 Triumph. This is the surface-to-air missile defense system. And friends, ignoring even the threat of sanction by the US, this S-400 Triumph, a surface-to-air defense system, missile system, is very much antidote to the axis of Pakistan and China. Because once India get this S-400 air defense system, missile system, India will be in the position to ward off any threat posed by Pakistan or China. Even the US has threatened India to impose sanction if India gets S-400 from Russia. But India ignored the threat posed by the US. Now, between 2013 to 2018, Russia accounted for 62% of arms sale to India. So you can see that how much India is dependent upon military hardware, military equipment and software on Russia. Moreover, Russia never ditched India in its relation for the last 75 years. Now, economic relation, friends, as you know that the bilateral trade between Russia and India is still in the making, and the bilateral trade in 2002 was not more than 1.5 billion American dollar and it increased to 11 billion American dollar in 2012, and now 30 billion American dollar is fixed as a target by 2025. So when we compare India's bilateral trade with the US or China, Hong Kong or United Arab Emirates, Netherlands, we find that more and more work has to be done as far as the economic relation between India and Russia is concerned. Now, what you see that Russia also promised to cooperate with India on its Make in India initiative, development of smart cities, aerospace sector, commercial nuclear reactors or nuclear sector, manufacturing of Russian military products, construction of over 100 billion DMIC, Delhi Mumbai Industrial Corridor, Delhi Mumbai Industrial Corridor DMIC infrastructure projects, which will eventually connect Delhi and Mumbai with railways, highways and ports. Russia has agreed to build more than 20 nuclear reactors in the coming 20 years. Russia imports from India merchandise to the tune of 3.1 billion American dollar or 1% of its overall import. It is very paltry sum. What is 1% of its overall import? So there is need to increase Indian export to Russia. Russia export to India amounted to 6.2 billion or 1.3% of its overall export in 2014. So you see that there is ample scope ample scope to enhance the volume of trade between India and Russia. Now, energy sector. You see that in 2001, ONGC Videsh acquired 20% stake in Sakhalin-1 and oil and gas project investing 1.7 billion American dollar. 2 units of 1000 megawatt each nuclear power project at Kudankulam was established in India. A space corporation, as you know that in 1975 Aryabhat, our first satellite was launched from the Russian aerospace. In 1975, Rakesh Sharma paid a visit to space with the support of Russia. In 2007, two countries signed an agreement on joint lunar exploration. North-South Transport Corridor route was established to connect India, Russia, Iran, Europe and Central Asia. So this is the North-South Transport Corridor route, and you can see that through India, and this is Mumbai. So you can see by this way from the Gulf of Hormuz through Iran, it goes through Azerbaijan and then enter into Russia, and then from North Sea, this one is the process covering the entire Russia, and then come back to this way. So this is the North-South Transport Corridor by which India and Russia want to integrate by way of transport facilities in sea and on land. Now, Indian policy in the wake of Russian-Ukrainian war. Friends, as you know that for the last 1 month, the war is going on between Russia and Ukraine. Why? Because Ukraine, earlier it was a part of Russia, Soviet Union. It came out and became independent in 1991 after the dissolution of Soviet Union. So Ukraine is now the largest country insofar as the area is concerned in Europe. It is the bowl of food. It is a bowl of number one. Number two, Ukraine is very much close or in proximity with Russia. So if Ukraine goes into the NATO camp and install nuclear weapons, then the sovereignty and integrity of Russia will be in danger. And that's why this war occurred between Russia and Ukraine, whereby Russia wants that Ukraine should keep its stance as neutral. It should not go into the camp of European Union or NATO. It should not get military weapons, equipment from Western countries, nor get nuclear arms. Otherwise, the sovereignty of Russia will be at stake. This is the reason for the outbreak of war between Russia and Ukraine, which is going on for more than 1 month. Now, what you see, that India reiterated that the difference between Russia and NATO can be resolved through honest and sincere dialogue. number one. Number two, India remained absent on the resolution several times on the resolution of the US accusing Russia as an aggression in the UN General Assembly during the Crimea War. In 2014 also, India remained neutral and did not criticize Russia. India cannot antagonize Russia because Russia is a major military supplier of India, and I have already discussed about it. India wants deceleration of tension and ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. The US said that India's position has been unsatisfactory but unsurprising due to its historic relationship with Russia. Britain expressed its disappointment over India's stance on Russia's invasion in Ukraine. India was absent at the United Nations General Assembly on a resolution deploring Russia as aggressor against Ukraine. India has been absent for more than 7 times in the UN Security Council and General Assembly and did not criticize the action of Russia. It only reiterated its commitment to the principle of UN Charter, principle to follow international law, to have respect for the sovereignty and integrity of a country, to respect the international law. Now, conclusion. What conclusion we derived from this lecture? Number one, India's foreign policy has evolved from non-alignment to embracing strategic autonomy in defense and security policy. Earlier, India followed the policy of non-alignment. Now, although India did not leave non-alignment, but now it has embraced a strategic autonomy in defense and security matters. Number one, China is aligned with Russia. So like China, India is also playing a balancing act between Russia and the West. Any further strengthening of China-Russia ties will disturb the balance of power in Asia. China is an imminent threat of India, so India will not antagonize Russia for appeasing the West. Moreover, heavy dependency of India on Russian military equipment will further stop India from taking sides against the West. Again, the European Union pressure is unlikely to influence India's foreign policy. Essence of India's principle of strategic autonomy is that it would not cave in to pressure from major power to take a particular position or to align with a particular camp. India makes foreign policy decisions on its own terms, taking into consideration of its national interest. So, you have seen that for the last 1 week, so many diplomats from different countries of the West are coming to New Delhi in order to bring India into their camp. But India did not budge. Why? Because any changes in the balance of power in Asia, when China, Pakistan are aligned with Russia, will jeopardize the national interest of India. You might have known that when the war broke, the Pakistani Prime Minister paid a visit to Moscow. So you see that where there is a Pakistani-Chinese axis going on, when China is giving full support to Russia. So in that situation, what India should do? It will be very difficult for India to switch side to the West. Why? Although India knows very well that Russia is an aggressor. It attacked upon the sovereignty and integrity of Ukraine. It recognized the independence of Donbas region of Ukraine. But knowing fully these things, India will not change its stance. Why? Number one, India is very much dependent upon military equipments on Russia. Number two, there is an imminent threat of China upon India. Pakistan and China axis is going stronger day by day. Although, and finally, China has aligned completely with Russia when the war broke out between Russia and Ukraine. So, sensing the scenario, the present day scenario, India chose to trade cautiously, where India doesn't want to antagonize the West headed by the US, or it doesn't want to ditch Russia. It wants to keep good humor with both the US and Russia to subserve its own national interest. So friends, now I am winding up my discussion. I hope that you might have enjoyed my lecture. If you have any suggestion, please write down in the comment box. Thank you very much.